My name is Ashley Gronewald. I'm with Hunter Row Real Estate, and this is my live streaming. And the topic today is top tips for buyers. And this was voted on by you from our last session, which was for sellers. This is for buyers. So I'm excited to have you here with me today. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the material because I have a lot that I want to share with you, but I would love for you to comment in the comment bar. If you're here with me, questions you have, please ask them. If I can't get to them, I will definitely get back to you. But excited that you're here with me, and let's go ahead and jump in. So first, I'm going to start with tip number 1 for buyers, and that is talk to a lender. Make sure you are pre-qualified before you start the process. Buyers often tell me they found a house faster than they anticipated. So scrambling to get your financing together will only make things more stressful. You want to know what you feel comfortable buying before you fall in love with it. So again, talking to a lender so they can help determine not only what you qualify, but what you feel comfortable purchasing. One question that you need to ask the lender is whether you can buy without selling. I know you don't want to do that, and most of my buyers are terrified of that thought, but most of the time you don't actually end up having a double payment, which is what is the biggest concern for buyers. So we'll talk more about that later, but I do need to know, and it'll make it a little less stressful for you if you know ahead of time if you're able to buy without selling. So it's another thing you can talk to the lender about. I also recommend talking with a lender that's not specifically associated with the bank. And it's not because I have any issues with the bank. It's just that banks generally operate from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And as you can imagine, real estate generally doesn't happen then. So you need the personal cell phone number of a lender you can talk to potentially at 8 o'clock on a Saturday evening. And so if that's someone who's at the bank, fantastic. Also, some of the banks are requiring longer closing periods, like 45 days. And that does not make you as a buyer competitive in a multiple offer situation on a vacant home where the seller is making a mortgage payment on a home that is empty. So again, why it's valuable to be working with a lender that can close a little quicker. I can refer you to a great lender. So if you would like a referral to a lender, please let me know in the chat bar and I'll make an introduction for you. Here's a question that a lot of buyers may have, or a myth that they might believe, is that they could buy a home for less money if they didn't use an agent. And you may have fallen into that camp before. But what I would say is that in vast majority of cases, you will not pay less. Most sellers have already agreed to pay a buyer's agent a set fee, and builders have set that money aside to either pay the agent, but if they choose not to use an agent, they use that money for marketing. So you're not putting that money in your pocket. They're putting it towards a marketing campaign. In North Carolina, the Real Estate Commission is generally paid for by the seller. So take advantage in having an advocate looking out for your best interests. 9 times out of 10, a for sale by owner is willing to pay a buyer's agent fee. They just don't want to have an agent representing them that they're going to pay, but they often will pay a buyer's agent. So again, reach out to your agent before engaging in a real estate transaction without them. Again, with new construction, you won't pay less for a home by using the on-site agent. And that agent represents the builder, not you. They will use that money to pay for more marketing if you choose not to have representation. So again, even if it's not me, make sure you have an agent that's representing your best interests if you're building a home. And then you may have heard of Open Door. It's a large company that's buying and selling homes all over the country. And one of the perks to that is that they allow you to view their home by just downloading their Open Door app without scheduling a showing with your agent, which is awesome. It allows a lot of convenience and flexibility for you. But once you look at that home and you like it, you need to get your agent involved. So have them come meet you at the house, or go look at the house after you've completed your showing. All right, moving on to number 3. And this one I can tell you I've had a lot of personal success with. So I always recommend it. It's not ever mandatory, but I would highly recommend writing a personal letter to the seller. And this is where you're telling them about why you love their home. Compliment them on what they have done to improve the home or how they've maintained it. Send them a picture of your family. This makes you more than just a number on a piece of paper, especially if you're in a multiple offer situation. It sets you apart. Houses are usually places where a family makes memories, and they love the idea of passing it along to another family that will take and love it the way they did. So again, if you can, write a letter to the seller. And if you need an example of one of those, I've got lots that I'm willing to share with you just to give you an idea of what those have looked like in the past. Okay, number 4, top tip for buyer, drive-by homes. And I ask all of my buyers to do this before scheduling a showing. And do you know why? One thing is that me as an agent and other agents, we would all admit we're guilty of advertising the best features of the home, not the power lines in the backyard, 540, steep driveways, etc. So you want to drive by to even see if it's something you'd consider. Those pictures online are going to be the best pictures of that house. And so we want to know, do you like the neighborhood? Do you like the lot? Do you like the neighboring homes? All of those things that you can find out by just doing a quick drive-by of the home. You'll save a ton of time and frustration from looking at homes that you would never consider just by ruling out some of those factors when you take a drive by the house. And then number 5, have your home sold if you currently own one, or see if you can buy without selling. So I told you we'd revisit this topic, and here we are. And it's going to be a little bit deep. So if you have a second just to put everything aside to really try and focus in on this, or give me a call afterwards and we can talk in more detail. Most buyers can buy without selling. They just don't want to because they don't want to have an overlapping mortgage payment. And that's completely understandable. I wouldn't either. But I'll tell you, most of the time, you won't have an overlapping mortgage payment. And here's why. For example, if you were to close on your new home in June, your first mortgage payment on your new home will not be until August. That gives you plenty of time to get your house on the market and even closed before you have a double payment. Does that make sense? If not, we can talk more about it. But I just want you to know your biggest fear is having a double payment, and 9 times out of 10, you won't have one. Now, let's say you can't buy without selling, and that's okay. I would recommend having everything ready to go for the sale of your home. And what I mean by that is that we've met for our listing consultation, we have done a staging appointment, and you've done all of your homework for preparing your home for sale. So when you do find the home you love, you can quickly put it on the market after securing a contract on the new home you're buying. Now remember, my average days on market is 5 days. So what I mean by that is when we list your home, it should go under contract hopefully in a weekend. That would be the plan. So you don't have to worry about your home being on the market for a long time, especially if you've already written a contract on a new house. If you are able to buy without selling, it's just a lot less stressful for your family to not have to deal with showings and maintain a meticulous home. And it's also easier for us agents that want to show your home at the buyer's convenience, not at yours. And that's because the house is empty. You didn't just sit down for dinner or just put down the baby for a nap. So again, if it's possible, it'll make it less stressful for you. And remember from my other session that homes sell for 2 to 10% more when they're vacant. So again, it puts money in your pocket. So keep it in mind. All right, moving on to number 6. Be prepared to offer a strong due diligence fee. Okay, again, if you haven't bought a home in the past 8 years, this fee may be completely new to you. So let me try to explain it. But again, this is tricky even to real estate agents that have been in the market for years. So don't be frustrated if you ask a lot of questions about it. It's common. This fee, the due diligence fee, is different from the earnest money fee, which you're probably familiar with. So don't get the two confused. If you need a reminder of which one comes first, they're in alphabetical order. So due diligence comes first and then earnest money afterwards. It is a non-refundable deposit you pay the seller to take their home off the market to give you a chance to make sure you want the house that you thought you wanted. Remember, when you do a walkthrough at a showing, you're looking at the home for how it's going to fit your life. Can you see your kids there, your family there, your friends, your church group? Whatever it is that you do life in your home, that's what you're looking at. But during due diligence, that's when we're inspecting the home. That's when we're getting our appraisal done. We're finding out, is the house measure up to what we thought from the showing? So this is a period of time, generally 2 to 3 weeks, where we are investigating your home thoroughly. And so during this period of time, the nice thing is you can walk away for any reason or no reason. You just woke up one morning and decided this was not the house for your family. You can terminate the contract. However, you will forfeit that fee. So I'm curious, if you had to guess how much this fee is, typically, what would you say? Do you have any idea what this fee would be? I love to ask that question because it's just, if you have no experience purchasing in the last 8 years, you would have no idea what this fee would be. And so I'll share with you what I'm seeing in the marketplace. Anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000 is, generally speaking, the fee that we're seeing for due diligence. Now, I know that the upper end of that sounds really scary, but that's going to be for homes that have been on the market for a very short period of time and for homes that are in multiple offers. And remember, this is a completely negotiable fee. So you can offer whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm just going to advise you what's going to give you the highest odds of potentially getting the home, because this fee is almost as important as the purchase price is to the seller. So keep that in mind. This tells the seller how committed you are to the home and how likely it is that you'll make it to the closing table. It's your skin in the game. Now, the good news is you will get this back if you buy the home. But if you decide for any reason to walk away, that money is the seller's. And it's really to compensate them for the time that they lost off the market. I hope that makes sense. So, a quick question. Do you think you get this money back if you do not like the results of either the inspections or the appraisal? Think about that for a second. Do you think that you would get your due diligence fee back if you did not like the results of the inspections or the home does not appraise? You're right if you said you don't. Remember, it's a non-refundable fee that is given to the seller, and it's not contingent upon how the appraisal or the inspections turn out. So keep that in mind. Again, we will talk in much more detail about this when it's time for you to buy a home. I would highly recommend meeting for a buyer orientation, and we'll go through this and talk through the different scenarios so you feel very comfortable with this when the time comes. Number 7, be prepared to close in 30 days. Okay, now why 30 days? It's pretty standard in real estate to close in 30 days. It's mainly because that's what it's taking inspectors, appraisers, and lenders and the real estate agents to go through the whole transaction and get us to the closing table. But mainly it has to do with processing the loan. And again, another reason why you want to work with a lender that can close the loan in 30-ish days. And here's why. If you're in a multiple offer situation and the home is empty, a seller is not interested in an offer that's closing in 45 to 60 days, because that could mean 1 to 2 more mortgage payments that they don't need to pay or have to pay, but would if they took your offer. So keep that in mind when looking for a lender. Ask them, are you able to close in 30 days or less? Now, there may be sellers who are still living in their home and have not found a home yet. Now, they may be more open to a longer closing. And if that works for you, great. But I would plan for 30 days. And let's move on to number 8. Hey, Heather, I see you there. So glad to have you. All right, number 8, don't wait to go look at homes. And what do I mean by this? When a home goes on the market, drive by it immediately. Jump in the car and head that way. And then as you're leaving the house, call me, call your agent, and schedule a showing. You don't have time to wait until you get off work. You don't have time to wait until the weekend. You don't have time to wait. These homes in our market go fast. And I know you know that because you're looking at these homes on different apps and you notice that they go on the market and they're sold the next day. So don't wait. You want to be the first one in to have the first chance to present an offer. And you know why? Because some sellers don't need to wait for 20 showings or 5 offers in hand. Some sellers just want to be done. And so they take the first great offer that comes across their table. So that's why it's wise to get in early. Now, a lot of my buyers ask, and so I'll ask you that are listening, how much time do you think you have to write an offer on a home you love? So you walk in, you love a home, you're ready to write an offer, but you turn to me or your agent and you say, how much time do we have to present this offer? What do you think the answer I would give? How much time do you think you have to write an offer once you find a home you like? Any thoughts? It just depends. But what I would say is that if you sleep on it, you may not sleep in it. You get it? All right. So I would say if you like it and want a chance at this house, you should write an offer immediately. And literally, that process does not need to take long. If we've done all of our homework with a buyer orientation, you've spoken to the lender, and you've even considered writing your personal letter draft to be just prepared, then we can get this all done in an hour or less. Yes, I would agree, Heather, less than 24 hours. I wouldn't go longer than that. Again, a seller may want to wait out a weekend. Say they list the home on a Friday and they want to see what the weekend brings. And so they may ask for highest and best by 5 o'clock on Sunday. Well, in that case, we get our offer in and we wait. But yesterday I wrote an offer for a buyer and the seller didn't wait and they took our offer. Thankfully, because we were not the only ones interested, but we gave them a strong enough offer that made them excited to work with us versus waiting it out. Number 9, get out and meet the neighbors and ask them about the neighborhood. Now, I know some of you are going to be shy about this, but one of you probably in the family is comfortable talking to strangers. So that's one of the best things you could do. Now, you may not want to do it right now with what's going on, but maybe keep a 6 to 10 foot distance and you could talk to them. And the reason is because they're not going to hold anything back. You wouldn't believe what some of the neighbors have told my buyers, good, bad, and ugly. They will know things that me or another real estate agent will never know. They're going to know about the annoying barking dog down the street. They're going to know about the nosy neighbors. They're just going to have a wealth of information that I or another agent cannot provide you. So make sure you get out, walk around, talk to the neighbors. Ask them about the homeowners association. Are they strict? Are they lenient? Is it easy to get on the board? How are the neighbors? Is there any holiday activities? Those types of things are just valuable. And so I would highly recommend getting out, walking around. Number 10, drive your commute during your typical commute time. So if you find a house that you like, try and get in the car and drive to work or wherever is most frequented by your family. So if that's church, if that's a friend's house, if that's a family member or work, drive those and try to drive them during the time that you would be driving them so you can get a feel of how far or how long this will take you. And then make sure you know that the important amenities are nearby. If that's Target, make sure it's within a driving distance, or a grocery store, the movie theater, whatever that is for you. Those things are important. And you want to know that as soon as possible to give you all the confidence in writing your offer. Number 11, do every inspection you can. Now, my buyers, they're nervous about all the expense related to buying a home, and I understand and get it. But I'll tell you, if there's a place to save money, it wouldn't be on your inspections, because what you don't know, you can't ask the seller to fix. So if we don't know that there's a leak or that there's an issue with the roof or that the septic system has failed, we won't know that unless we actually inspect it. And again, a seller does not have to make repairs. But if we have data supporting a repair needs to be made, they will need to either disclose that to future buyers or fix it for us if it's a material fact. So keep that in mind. It really gives us leverage to ask for concessions or repairs. But remember, that due diligence fee is not refundable if you decide that the seller's not willing to make a repair that you feel is absolutely necessary, or if they're not willing to give you money to make the repair after closing. So the types of inspections we will recommend are your general home inspection, roof inspection potentially, an HVAC inspection, radon, termite, septic, well, just depending on the property. And these can cost anywhere from $600 to $1,500. It just depends on which inspections you choose to do and if the home requires that type of inspection. So keep that in mind. Most of those can be paid at closing. So if you're thinking, gosh, this is a lot of cash out of pocket up front, remember those could be paid at closing if necessary. We just have a couple more. So I hope if you have some questions, start typing those in the chat box so I can get to them at the very end. But let's move on to number 12. And this is get a survey. And this is optional. So again, my buyers want to save money and I understand. So they decline a survey. And what a survey tells us is the property lines. And a seller may even have one from 10 years ago when they bought the home, but surveys can change. And so we wouldn't even rely on a 10-year-old survey. it would be best to get one now. Could you get one after you own the home? Absolutely. But knowing now if there's encroaching fences or sheds or gardens on your property, or if your fence is encroaching on the neighbors, you want to know that now so that you can ask the seller to remedy it. There is cost associated with moving a fence for sure. And there's cost associated with having an attorney draft an encroachment agreement between two parties. So please keep that in mind. It's important that you get a survey and get it before you close, because if you don't, you're going to be dealing with those issues when it comes time to sell. All right, number 13, order your appraisal right away. Let's talk about that. An appraisal comes from the bank or whoever your lender is. That lender is going to order a third party to come out and value the property. Now, the good news is that appraiser gets a copy of our contract. So they see what you as buyer and seller agreed to come to an agreement on the price. So they have a target in mind of what they're trying to justify. But if they have a hard time finding similar homes to compare to justify the price you agreed to with the seller, the home may appraise lower than the contract price. Now, what does that mean for you? That you can only get your loan for the appraised value, not for the contract value that you told the seller you'd pay. Now, of course, me as your buyer's agent, we're going to go to the seller and ask them to lower the price down. But they may not want to or may not be willing to, especially if they were in multiple offers and they feel confident that they could have another buyer go under contract on the house and be willing to make up the difference if it didn't appraise. So keep that in mind. And so why I say order it right away is because we want to know during your due diligence period, that period of time where we're doing inspections and the appraisal, whether or not the house appraises so that we can negotiate that before that secondary deposit I talked about, earnest money, is at risk. So earnest money is protected during that first couple of weeks we're doing inspections. But as soon as we pass through due diligence, now you have a secondary deposit, earnest money at risk. And I want to protect that as long as I can. So knowing the appraisal results early will help you make a decision if you feel comfortable moving forward on this home. And the reason I'm talking about an appraisal is because we are seeing it more and more often now in this type of market, a seller's market, that homes are not appraising. And the reason for that is there's not enough inventory. There's not enough homes out there for all the buyers that want to buy. And so when all the buyers do find a house they like, it creates a multiple offer situation. And when there's competition, the price goes up, right? And so sometimes homes are going under contract for higher than what similar sold homes have closed for. Does that all make sense? If not, give me a call or let's set up a time so I can talk through that a little bit more with you. But again, the point is, as soon as you go under contract, you want to have your lender order that appraisal. And I'll remind you, but I just want you to understand why I suggest that. All right, this is my last tip for my buyers. And this is to consider using an escalation clause when in multiple offers. Okay, what is an escalation clause? First, I would say it's a very strategic way for you to offer in a competing situation without paying more than you have to. Now, I will give the caveat that not all agents and not all sellers are willing to entertain an escalation clause addendum to an offer. So right out of the gate, it might not work. But if it does, it works fantastic. And let me explain how it works. For example, if there's a home listed at $350,000 and I'm representing you as the buyer and you love this home, but we are in multiple offers, you may try the escalation clause option, which is you would say, we will offer you full price, $350,000, or $1,000 over the highest bidder up to, let's say, $361,000. So you're willing to go $11,000 over list price, but only if another bidder was $1,000 under that. So if the highest bidder, because you'll never know what the other buyers are offering, that's not information you get to know as a buyer. If the highest bidder was $355,000, then you only pay $356,000. It's awesome. If another bidder bid $362,000, well, we're out because we said the highest we'd pay was $361,000. Does that make sense? So it's a great strategy. I've used it personally when purchasing homes. And it just allows us to not just shoot in the dark. So again, if the seller and their agent are willing to entertain an escalation clause, I would highly encourage it. It's a very successful tool that we use. Now, you may have seen that this is something I'm very passionate about. This is what I, as your expert, come to the table offering you. It's strategy to help you navigate the process of buying a home. So not only getting the home, but paying a fair price for it, or strategically positioning yourself to be able to get a house in a multiple offer situation, which is 9 times out of 10 the situation that most of the buyers are in. So I want to set you up for success. Now, some of my buyers say, I don't want to be in a bidding war. Now, I wouldn't call it a bidding war because nobody knows what the other person's bidding. So there's no real war happening. You just know that there's other buyers who want the same thing you want. And sometimes that can feel really encouraging. Other people like what you like. And it makes me feel really good that when it comes time for you to sell 4, 5, 6 years later, that other people are going to really want your house. So it should be affirming to you that you are looking at a house that has value that could potentially be a fantastic investment for you and your family. So I share all that to say, this is what I'm here for. It's what I love to do. I love to advise and walk you through this. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this material, but I just want you to know that there is strategy behind every part of the process. And we want to help fight to get you a great house at a great price and then help you protect your investment. So that's all I have for you today. What other questions do you have for me? Type those in the chat bar. I'm happy to follow up with those later and give you responses to them. If you have specific questions about the buying process, go ahead and type those in. You can always send me an email, give me a call. But then also, I would love to know what topic you would like to discuss next. So we'll do this again next Wednesday, 1:30 to 2. And I'd love to know what you would vote for topic. I'll give you 3. And then, of course, if you have others that you're interested in, let me know. I'd love to discuss those as well. But these are the ones that I had come up with. So one would be how to work by referral. And this could be for any business or nonprofit. It's working by referral. It's a way of building a business. And then 2 would be how to keep your email inbox down to 10 or less emails a day. So at the end of the day, to only have 10 emails in your inbox. That would be topic number 2. It's one of my favorite topics that I have taught on. Love it. And then 3 would be how your personality affects your coworkers, your peers, and your family using the Myers-Briggs personality assessment. So 1, how to work by referral. 2, how to keep your email inbox down to 10 or less by the end of each day, or how your personality affects your coworkers, peers, and family. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and vote on that. Just put that in the chat comments below, and I will let you know what our next topic will be based on popular demand. So look for my next session here live on Facebook next Wednesday, the 22nd at 1:30. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.